unending theater of thrills, the master of mystery and adventure, William N. Robeson.
It has been more than 60 years since a New England lady named Charlotte Perkins Gilman wrote a story called The Yellow Wallpaper. Since then, this tale of almost unbearable horror has firmly established itself as one of American literature's greatest tales of terror, ranked by the aficionados of the macabre, along with The Telltale Heart and The Pit and the Pendulum of Edgar Allan Poe. When you combine such a great story with the great talent of the First Lady of Suspense, Miss Agnes Moorehead, you may be sure of an uneasy and unsettling half hour. Turn down the lights then and listen. Turn down the lights so you can't see the pattern of your wallpaper, as Agnes Moorehead stars in The Yellow Wallpaper,
a tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
I've never seen a worse wallpaper in my life. All those strangled heads and bulbous eyes and fungus growths seem to shriek with derision. When we came to this house, the minute I saw it, I made up my mind secretly to start writing again, in spite of them. But I don't dare let John know I'm keeping this journal. It's difficult being married to a doctor. John's an excellent doctor, I'm sure, but he's so inconsistent about me. He says I'm not really sick, that I'm only a little run down from caring for the baby, that I have a temporary nervous depression, and so he forbids me to write a word. But writing is such a relief to my mind. I can write down things, tell things here that... No, John says I'm not to brood about those things. I confess they make me feel badly, so I'll only write about the house. I saw it for the first time today, the most beautiful place. John rented it for the summer, and we drove up today, perfect June morning. The bay and the white sails and people already in swimming. And then the shaded lane and the old-fashioned flower garden and the gnarly trees and the house. The house standing alone in the summer stillness. I could never tell John, but you know the house spoke to me. It was only because he rattled on so that I couldn't hear what it said.
Reminded me of those English places you read about. And at only $200 a month. Gardener's cottage and everything.
Hedges and walls and gates that lock, and there's a ghostliness.
Remember, I rented it just for you, and you're going to let Jenny do all the work while you live the life of Riley. Do you like it, darling? Do you?
Yes. Yes, it's lovely, but strange, as though it might be haunted.
Darling, you've got that look on your face again, that dopey look. Well, Jenny's home. There's a station wagon. And if I know my dear sister, she's already turned the place inside out and cleaned it top to bottom.
John, is it haunted, do you think?
What? The house?
Yes.
At $200 a month? That's asking too much of fate. Come on, hop out.
Then why is it rented so cheaply? And why hasn't anyone lived in it for such a long time?
I'd call it luck if I believed in luck.
There is something strange about the house. I feel it.
Now, stop imagining things.
I'm not imagining. One reason I don't get well is that you don't believe me. You don't even believe I'm sick. You tell my friends and relatives I've heard you that there's nothing wrong with me.
There isn't anything wrong with you. I'm sorry. Don't cry. Come along. Let's go inside.
So I came into this house in tears. It was wrong. It was all wrong. Maybe the house saw me crying. Or this room. I got so unreasonably angry with John. I shouldn't. I know. He's so careful and loving, and I repay him so badly. I should control myself. At least in front of him. And it makes me so tired not to show what I feel. Sister-in-law Jenny met us at the door. Naturally, she saw I'd been crying, but she took pains to ignore it.
Well, hello. You two are early. You must have started at the crack of dawn. How was the trip?
Made it in less than 2 hours.
They're like as peas in a pod, Jenny and John, both efficient and kind.
How did you bear up, pet?
Very well, thank you, Jenny.
I must say you look
Both
very well.
kind and both somehow cruel, but I don't really think that.
You're in time for lunch. I bought a flounder down at the wharf and cooked it with capers and cream. Sound good?
Wonderful, Jenny.
May I see the house first?
The whole grand tour? The flounder will be cooked to death.
Well, at least my room.
Our room.
All right, if you insist. If the fish is spoiled, don't blame me.
Why would I blame her?
Whose room is this, Jenny? Yours?
Yes. It's small, but it's near the door and the telephone.
Oh, John? John, look, let's take this one for you and me. I love those roses over the window.
I've already put your things upstairs,
The
Pet.
little porch and such pretty old-fashioned chintz hanging.
You like the room upstairs.
You can see there's not room for 2 beds.
And I won't hear of being in separate rooms.
John and I talked it over. The room at the top of the house has so many windows.
And you must absorb lots of fresh air, darling, to get back your appetite.
They smother me with concern. They crush me with kindness.
Come along, there's a good girl.
All right. You know what's best.
Oh, you'll like the nursery. It's got loads of sunshine.
Up the steep, narrow stairs. 2 stories up to the very top of the house. I told myself over and over I mustn't be angry. They mean so well for me. That I'm not to have thoughts or feelings, likes or dislikes, and to do what they say because they know what's best. I'm not to cry. I'm not to have dreams or fancies. Up the steep, winding stairs to the top. There's a gate at the top that locks. I wonder why. And beyond the gate is the nursery room. This room. It is big and airy. Nearly a whole floor with windows that look every way. I say it was a nursery. But what was it, really?
Open the moat, Jenny. Why? Well, darling?
Why are the windows barred?
It's for little children, otherwise it wouldn't be safe.
Yes. Children climb around so, don't they? What are those rings and things in the wall?
Oh? Well, I expect they made it into a gymnasium when the children were older.
It's a sort of playroom.
How they must have hated the wallpaper.
They were rough on it, that's for
The
sure.
way they've torn it off in patches. I don't blame them. It's hideous.
Oh, who wants to look at wallpaper with this view? You can see the whole bay.
The revolting color. It's unclean. It's such a sickish yellow there where the sun's faded in.
Now, darling, you must be hungry. I know you're tired.
I'm not tired. Why do you both act this way? I say the wallpaper's ugly and you look at each other. Your eyes shuffle back and forth and suddenly you both act as though I'd lost my...
Darling, that was something we weren't going to say.
Real good girl, Pet. We don't act anyway. We only want you not to worry. We want you to be well.
It's true. That's all they want. John laughs at me, of course, but one expects that in marriage, and he says I have foolish fancies, and he sometimes can talk them away, but not this time. No matter what he says. It's a smoldering, sulphurous, unclean, hideous wallpaper. No wonder the children scratched at it and stripped it down. No wonder they gouged the plaster with their little fingernails. No wonder they hated it. I hate it myself. Somehow I feel it hates me.
In just a moment, we continue with Suspense.
The best things in life may not always be free, but some of the worst things sure are expensive. The trail that litter bugs leave behind them costs our government $50 million a year on primary highways alone. And that's only part of the penalty, for none of us enjoys the countryside when it's littered with sandwich wrappers and old newspapers. Every year, thousands of Americans sustain injuries from broken bottles, rusty beer cans, and other objects thoughtlessly cast out on the highway. As a result, work hours are lost and wages remain unearned. A carefree holiday is hardly carefree if you're careless about trash. Your neglect can only add to your tax bill and damage property you might otherwise enjoy. it creates a health hazard for yourself and others. Wherever you are this minute, out in the country or right in the heart of town, CBS Radio hopes you'll join the nationwide campaign to keep America beautiful. There's no membership card, no dues. All it takes to join is the resolve to keep America beautiful by keeping litter off streets and highways.
And now, we continue with the second act of The Yellow Wallpaper, starring Miss Agnes Moorehead. A tale well calculated to keep you in suspense.
We've been here 2 weeks, and I haven't felt like writing again since that first day. I'm sitting up by the window now, in this frightful nursery room. There's nothing to stop my writing as much as I please. John is away all day, and sometimes even at night if he has a serious case. I'm glad my case is not serious. These nervous troubles can be depressing all the same. John doesn't know how much I suffer. He knows there's no reason to suffer, and that satisfies him. I suppose John is never nervous in his life. He laughs at me so about this wallpaper.
No, I won't let you have your way, you silly goose. If we take in the room downstairs, you'd be seeing faces in the shin straight.
Not faces, John. Look at that spot. And that one over there.
Yes, I see. It's a recurrent pattern.
It's a broken neck with 2 bulging eyes staring at me upside down.
And to me, it's climbing ivy or some kind of vine. Take your choice. It could be anything.
It's the everlastingness. Up and down. Climbing up and down and sideways. Crawling, and everywhere those unblinking eyes.
Now you must try to rid your mind of such nonsense. You simply must.
All right, John, I'll try. After all, it's only in certain lights when I look at the wallpaper from the bed that I see...
See what?
Nothing. Nothing, John. No, you're right. There's nothing except a pattern. A front pattern. And an under pattern in a different shade of yellow. It dwells in my mind self. I lie on that great immovable bed. It's nailed down. And follow the pattern about by the hour. And then where it isn't faded and when the sun is just so, I see a strange, faint, formless sort of figure lurking, waiting behind that front design. There are things in that wallpaper that nobody knows but me. You know, there's a woman stooping down and creeping about behind that pattern. Last night, it was moonlight, and the moon shines in all around just as the sun does. And John was asleep, and I hated to waken him, so I kept still and watched the moonlight on the wall until the figure behind began to shake the pattern as if she wanted to get out. I got up softly and went and felt the paper to see if it did move. It moved. I'm sure of it. And the woman cried out as though her voice came a long way over water. Let me up! Let me up! Let me up! When I went back to the bed, John was awake.
What is it? Oh. Why are you up? Don't go walking around like that. You'll catch cold.
Oh, the moonlight woke me.
Hey, you are cold. You're shivering.
John, I'm not really getting better. Won't you take me away?
I don't see how we can leave before our lease is up. Of course, if you were in any danger, I would, but you really are better, dear, whether you see it or not. I'm a doctor, and I know.
My appetite may be better in the evening when you're here, but it's worse in the morning when you're gone.
You're gaining weight, and your color is better.
I don't weigh a bit more, not even as much.
Nonsense. You're getting better, I tell you.
Better in body, perhaps, but in mind, I'm
Darling.
not...
For my sake, and your sake, and for the sake of our child, I beg you not to let that idea enter your head, not for one instant. But can't you trust me as a doctor when I tell you it's a false and foolish idea? Answer me, darling. Don't you trust me?